What if the DEEPESD pains you experience, the anxieties that churn within, are not random afflictions but coded messages? Imagine that within the very fabric of suffering lies a hidden architecture, a pattern understood by sages and philosophers for millennia. They didn't just endure it, they deciphered its language. What if you could learn to read it too? This isn't about eliminating suffering, but about transforming your relationship with it. So the fundamental question posed by these traditions is not, how can I avoid suffering? But rather, given that suffering is part of life, how can I relate to it in a way that minimizes its grip and maximizes my potential for wisdom, compassion, and inner peace? The answers they provide are profound, often challenging our most deeply ingrained assumptions about happiness and the good life. Perhaps no tradition has placed the understanding of suffering more centrally than Buddhism. Its foundational teachings, the Four Noble Truths, begin with an unflinching acknowledgement. The first noble truth is the truth of dukkha, often translated as suffering, dissatisfaction, or stress. This isn't a pessimistic declaration, but a realistic assessment of the inherent nature of unenlightened existence. It's the starting point for liberation. Dukkha encompasses not just overt physical and mental pain, but also the subtle dissatisfaction arising from impermanence. The fact that all conditioned things, including pleasant experiences, are transient. It includes the stress of trying to hold onto what is fleeting, and the frustration of not getting what we want, or getting what we don't want. It's a pervasive quality of experience before awakening. The second noble truth, samudaya, identifies the origin of dukkha, tanha, which translates to craving, thirst, or attachment. This isn't just desire for material possessions, but also craving for sensual pleasures, for existence, for non-existence, for ideas, for views, for a self to be permanent. It's this clinging and grasping at things that are inherently impermanent that fuels the cycle of dissatisfaction. It's a powerful insight. This craving arises from ignorance avijja of the true nature of reality, particularly the concepts of anicca, impermanence, dukkha, suffering, dissatisfaction itself, and anatta, no self, or the idea that there is no permanent, unchanging soul or ego. Because we misperceive reality, we seek lasting happiness in things that cannot provide it, leading inevitably to disappointment and suffering. The pattern is clear. But Buddhism doesn't stop at diagnosis. The third noble truth, nirodha, offers hope. The cessation of dukkha is possible. This is nirvana, the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion, the end of craving. It's not a heavenly realm, but a state of profound peace, liberation, and enlightenment that can be realized in this very life by understanding and uprooting the causes of suffering. And how is this cessation achieved? The fourth noble truth, magga, lays out the path, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is a practical guide to ethical conduct, sila, mental discipline, samadhi, and wisdom, panna. It includes right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. It's a holistic approach to transformation. Central to Buddhist practice is mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment. By observing our thoughts, emotions, and sensations as they arise and pass away, we begin to see their impermanent nature and loosen the grip of attachment and aversion. We witness the arising of suffering without getting swept away by it, creating a space for wiser responses. This is not passivity, but profound, active observation. The concept of anatta, or no self, is particularly radical. It challenges the idea of a fixed, independent I that is the subject of suffering. Instead, Buddhism posits that what we call self is a dynamic, ever-changing process of physical and mental phenomena. Understanding this can dramatically reduce self-centered craving and the suffering that arises from protecting a non-existent permanent ego. It's a deep cognitive shift. Through cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, the Buddhist path aims to dismantle the very conditions that give rise to suffering. It's not about denying pain or pretending it doesn't exist, but about developing an inner resilience and clarity that allows one to experience life's challenges without being overwhelmed by them. The goal is liberation from the cycle of suffering. We are all born into a world where discomfort, loss, and disappointment are inevitable. Yet, some individuals across vastly different cultures and epochs seem to navigate these treacherous waters with an almost uncanny serenity and strength. What did they possess that many of us lack? It wasn't a magical shield, but a profound understanding of the inner workings of the human mind and its power to shape our reality, even amidst turmoil. The Buddhist understanding of suffering, therefore, is not a message of despair, but one of profound optimism and empowerment. It asserts that the causes of our anguish are knowable and, crucially, that they can be overcome through our own diligent effort and insight. It places the responsibility and the potential for freedom firmly within each individual. This is a revolutionary idea. Journeying west, we encounter Stoicism, a Hellenistic philosophy founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BC. Like Buddhism, Stoicism directly confronts the reality of suffering, but it offers a distinct path to navigate it, emphasizing reason, virtue, and living in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, tranquility or apatheia was the goal, a state of mind free from disturbing passions. A cornerstone of Stoic thought is the dichotomy of control, the idea that some things are within our control while others are not. Within our control are our own thoughts, judgments, desires, aversions, and actions. Outside our control are external events, our bodies, reputations, possessions, and the actions of others. True wisdom, the Stoics argued, lies in focusing our energy solely on what we can control. Epictetus, a former slave who became a renowned Stoic philosopher, famously stated, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them." This encapsulates the Stoic approach to suffering. It's not external events themselves that cause us distress, but our judgments about those events. A lost job is an event. The judgment, "This is a catastrophe, my life is over," is what creates the suffering. This is absolutely critical. Thus, the Stoic path to tranquility involves scrutinizing our impressions and judgments. When faced with a potentially distressing event, the Stoic practitioner asks, "Is this within my control or not?" If it's not, then expending emotional energy resisting it is futile and counterproductive. Instead, the focus shifts to our response, which is within our control. This is about radical self-awareness and discipline. Virtue for the Stoics is the sole good. External things like health, wealth, and reputation are considered indifferents, neither inherently good nor bad. They can be used well or poorly. True happiness and well-being come from cultivating the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Suffering often arises when we mistakenly value indifference as essential for our happiness. One powerful Stoic practice is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves regularly contemplating potential misfortunes, loss, illness, hardship. The purpose is not to dwell morbidly, but to mentally prepare, to rob these events of their shock value, and to appreciate what we currently have. It builds resilience and reduces fear of the unknown. Another key concept is amor fati, the love of fate. Championed particularly by Marcus Aurelius and later Nietzsche, it means not just accepting but embracing everything that happens, even adversity, as necessary and part of the larger cosmic order, or as an opportunity for virtuous action. It's about finding meaning and purpose in whatever life presents, rather than wishing for things to be different. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature, or logos, the universal reason pervading the cosmos. This means understanding the natural order of things, including our own human nature, and acting rationally and virtuously within that framework. Suffering often arises when our desires and actions are out of sync with this natural order, when we fight against what is. For the Stoic, challenges are not obstacles to be lamented but opportunities to practice virtue. If someone acts unjustly towards you, it's an opportunity to practice patience and justice. If you face loss, it's an opportunity to practice courage and resilience. In this way, even the most difficult circumstances can become grist for the mill of character development and inner peace. This is a radical reframing. This journey delves into that very understanding. We will explore the timeless wisdom that reveals suffering not as a cruel cosmic joke, but as a fundamental aspect of existence, one that holds the potential for immense growth and insight. The answers are not found in fleeting distractions or temporary fixes, but in the deep, often overlooked traditions that have grappled with this question for centuries. Are you prepared to look beyond the surface? Stoicism, therefore, offers a robust toolkit for mental fortitude. By distinguishing what we can and cannot control, by examining our judgments, by focusing on virtue, and by accepting fate, we can navigate suffering with greater equanimity and strength. It teaches that our inner citadel of peace cannot be breached by external events, only by our own misguided responses. Shifting to more modern philosophical landscapes, existentialism, which flourished in the 19th and 20th centuries, offers yet another profound perspective on suffering. Thinkers like Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, Camus, and Sartre grappled with the human condition in a world often perceived as devoid of inherent meaning or divine purpose, what's sometimes called the absurd. Suffering, in this context, takes on a unique significance. Existentialists often highlight feelings of anxiety, despair, and alienation as fundamental to human existence, arising from our freedom and responsibility in a meaningless universe. If there's no preordained purpose, then we are condemned to be free, as Sartre put it, burdened with creating our own values and meaning. This freedom can be a source of profound anguish, but also of profound opportunity. For many existentialists, suffering is not something to be merely avoided or transcended in the Buddhist or Stoic sense, but rather something to be confronted, experienced, and potentially integrated into a meaningful life. Nietzsche, for example, famously proclaimed, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." He saw suffering as a necessary condition for growth and the development of a higher type of human. Albert Camus, in The Myth of Sisyphus, explores the absurd through the Greek myth of Sisyphus, condemned to eternally roll a boulder up a hill only for it to roll down again. Camus suggests that Sisyphus can find meaning and even happiness in his futile task by consciously embracing his fate and the struggle itself. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, he concludes. The meaning is in the rebellion against the absurd. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, developed logotherapy, a form of existential analysis focused on the will to meaning. Having witnessed unimaginable suffering in concentration camps, Frankl observed that those who found some meaning in their suffering, even if it was to help others or bear witness, were more likely to survive. He argued that man's primary drive is not pleasure, but the discovery and pursuit of what he personally finds meaningful. Frankl emphasized that even when we cannot change a situation of suffering, we are still free to choose our attitude towards it. This inner freedom, he contended, can never be taken away. Suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning, such as the meaning of a sacrifice. This transforms suffering from a passive experience into an active achievement. It's a powerful reorientation. Existentialism, then, doesn't offer easy comfort. It confronts the harsh realities of existence head-on. But in doing so, it empowers individuals to create meaning through their choices, actions, and responses to suffering. Suffering can become a catalyst for authenticity, for living more passionately and purposefully, for recognizing the preciousness of life precisely because it is finite and fraught with challenges. The existentialist perspective encourages us to ask, how can I use this suffering to become more of who I truly am? How can I find or create meaning in this specific challenge? It's a call to embrace the human condition in its entirety, with its attendant anxieties and its potential for profound self-realization. It is, in essence, a call to live fully. Unlike Buddhism's path to transcend suffering or Stoicism's path to endure it with equanimity, existentialism often suggests a path through suffering, where the experience itself becomes integral to a meaningful existence. It challenges us to find value not despite suffering, but sometimes because of it, by how we respond to the call for meaning it presents. This is a deeply personal quest. Consider this. The intensity of your suffering might be less about the external event and more about your internal response to it. The wisest minds in history converged on this pivotal idea that our judgments, attachments, and resistance are the true architects of our deepest anguish. What if the keys to unlocking a more resilient and peaceful existence are already within your grasp, just waiting to be recognized and utilized? Thus, while appearing different, these philosophies all grapple with the core human experience of suffering. Each offers a lens through which to view it, and a set of tools to engage with it, not as a passive victim, but as an active agent capable of profound inner transformation. The choice of attitude, the pursuit of meaning, the cultivation of inner states, these are all within our reach. Across these diverse traditions, Buddhism, Stoicism, and Existentialism, several common threads emerge, weaving a tapestry of timeless wisdom regarding suffering. Perhaps the most profound is the recognition that our inner world, our mind, plays the primary role in shaping our experience of suffering. External events are triggers, but our interpretations, judgments, and reactions are the true architects of our anguish. Acceptance in various forms is another crucial element. This isn't passive resignation or condoning harm, but rather a clear-seeing acknowledgement of reality as it is. Buddhism emphasizes accepting the truth of dukkha and impermanence. Stoicism champions accepting what is outside our control. Even existentialism calls for an acceptance of the absurd nature of existence as a starting point for creating meaning. Resistance, conversely, breeds suffering. Detachment or non-attachment is also a recurring theme. Buddhism's focus on relinquishing tanha craving is a clear example. Stoicism's view of externals as indifference cultivates a healthy detachment from outcomes. This doesn't mean not caring or not striving, but rather unhooking our core well-being from specific results, which are often beyond our ultimate control. This freedom is immense. Furthermore, all these philosophies, in their own way, emphasize the importance of a virtuous or purposeful response to suffering. For Stoics, it's an opportunity to practice virtue. For Buddhists, suffering propels the search for enlightenment through ethical conduct and wisdom. For existentialists, it's a call to create meaning through authentic action. Our response is where our power truly lies. Building inner resilience is a practical outcome of engaging with these teachings. Whether through Buddhist mindfulness, Stoic premeditation of adversity, or existentialist embrace of challenge, these practices fortify the mind. They train us not to be impervious to pain, but to recover from it more effectively, to maintain our inner balance, and to learn from difficult experiences rather than be defeated by them. The idea that suffering can be transformative is perhaps one of the most hopeful messages. It can strip away the superficial, forcing us to confront deeper questions about who we are and what truly matters. It can cultivate compassion, empathy, and a profound appreciation for life's joys and sorrows. The wisest traditions see suffering not just as an enemy, but as a potential, albeit harsh, teacher. These strategies are not quick fixes. They require conscious effort, introspection, and consistent practice. They ask us to shift our perspective from seeking constant pleasure and avoiding all pain, to cultivating a robust inner life capable of navigating the full spectrum of human experience with wisdom and grace. This is the path to a more enduring and authentic form of well-being. By understanding that our attachments fuel suffering, Buddhism, that our judgments about events, not the events themselves, cause distress, Stoicism, and that we can find meaning even in the face of unavoidable hardship, Existentialism, we gain powerful leverage over our experience. We move from being reactive victims of circumstance to proactive shapers of our inner landscape. This is true empowerment. The timeless wisdom of these traditions doesn't promise a life free from pain, for pain is an inevitable part of being alive. Instead, it offers the possibility of a life free from the added layer of suffering we create through our own minds. It offers a path to navigate life's inherent difficulties with greater equanimity, courage, and even a sense of profound purpose. This is a gift of inestimable value. We will unearth how Buddhism, Stoicism, and even Existentialism, though distinct, offer remarkably convergent paths to navigate the inevitable trials of life. This isn't mere philosophy, it's a practical guide to recalibrating your inner compass. By understanding the nature and origins of suffering, we can begin to transform our experience of it, finding not just solace, but strength and meaning where once there was only pain. The journey begins now. Ultimately, the message from the wisest people in history is one of profound agency. While we cannot always choose what happens to us, we can choose how we understand it, how we respond to it, and what we allow it to make of us. The capacity to transform our relationship with suffering lies dormant within each of us, waiting to be awakened. In summary, the great wisdom traditions and seminal thinkers, from the Buddha to the Stoics to the existentialists, converge on a powerful truth. Suffering, while an inescapable aspect of the human condition, is profoundly shaped by our own minds. Our attachments, our judgments, our resistance, and our search for meaning are all critical factors in how we experience life's inherent difficulties. They didn't seek to eradicate suffering, but to understand it. The key takeaways are transformative. Buddhism teaches us that craving born of ignorance is the root of dukkha and offers the eightfold path to liberation. Stoicism empowers us by highlighting the dichotomy of control, urging us to focus on our virtuous responses rather than external events. Existentialism challenges us to find or create meaning even in the face of absurd suffering, making our response a testament to human freedom. These are not mere theories. By cultivating acceptance of what we cannot change, detachment from outcomes, a focus on virtuous action, and a commitment to finding meaning, we can navigate suffering with far greater equanimity and resilience. These ancient strategies offer a path not to a life without pain, but to a life where pain does not automatically equate to overwhelming suffering, and where adversity can even become a catalyst for profound growth and wisdom. The wisdom of the ages reminds us that our internal state is our greatest asset. The mind can be a source of torment, or it can be a sanctuary of peace and strength. The choice and the work is ours. To understand suffering is to begin the journey of transforming our relationship to it, unlocking a deeper, more resilient, and ultimately more meaningful way of being in the world. This is the perennial promise. So the question remains not whether suffering will touch our lives, but how we will choose to meet it. Will we allow it to define us, or will we, armed with the insights of those who have walked this path before, use it as an opportunity to cultivate our deepest capacities for wisdom, courage, and compassion? The wisest in history knew the answer. What will yours be? To truly grasp what these traditions offer, we must first define what we mean by suffering. It's a word often used loosely, encompassing everything from minor irritations to profound existential crises. However, many wisdom traditions make a crucial distinction: the difference between unavoidable pain, physical or emotional, and the suffering that arises from our mental and emotional reaction to that pain. This distinction is paramount. Pain can be a broken bone, a harsh word, the loss of a loved one. These are events, often outside our direct control. Suffering, however, is the story we tell ourselves about these events. It's the rumination, the resistance, the why me, the clinging to what was, or the desperate fear of what might be. It is the second arrow, as some traditions call it, the one we shoot into ourselves after the first one has already struck. The wise traditions acknowledge that suffering, in its broadest sense, is an intrinsic part of the human condition. No one is exempt. Attempting to build a life entirely free from any form of discomfort or disappointment is not only futile but can paradoxically lead to more suffering, as our unrealistic expectations are inevitably shattered. The goal, then, is not eradication but skillful navigation. This universality is precisely why these ancient teachings remain so relevant. They address a core human challenge that transcends time, culture, and circumstance. By examining suffering not as a personal failure but as a shared experience, we can approach it with less shame and more curiosity, opening ourselves to the possibility of learning from its presence in our lives. The wisdom lies in understanding its mechanisms.